Good morning, everybody. Good morning. First of all, thank you for giving me the opportunity to introduce these folks and for Mansard Gavin to be a sponsor of this very interesting topic for the ACG at this breakfast meeting. Mansard Gavin's been around for almost 60 years. We consider ourselves to be a real client-focused, solutions-driven law firm. You could read our marketing material at your leisure at the tables. And we are considered, in our view, to be sort of an entrepreneurial law firm, the way we're set up. Everybody works as a team. We have practice groups, not divisions. Several of our lawyers are here today. And since this topic will address to some degree an area that involves not only education but labor and employment, I have to be careful because at least one of my partners knows I know enough about labor and employment law to be dangerous. So those of you who have labor and employment questions, you could ask Amy Kulik, because she runs our labor and employment group at Mansard Gavin. Before I introduce the panel, I had an opportunity to talk to them before breakfast here. And this topic is particularly interesting for a bunch of different reasons. I live in the city of Cleveland. Actually, my youngest goes to a Cleveland public school. But what's fascinating is the topic of education and employment are so intertwined. And as a country, I don't know that we're doing a very good job of addressing it. I'm on the board of an institute called the Lincoln Institute of Land Policy that addresses a lot of issues with urban planning, development, the taxation of land to fund local government, in particular education, which is our common source of funding. But I was at a symposium, and the gentleman next to me had worked for the American Assembly, which is the foundation set up by President Dwight D. Eisenhower. It's at Columbia University. And I was talking to him about while I was there. He actually gave me his book called Connecting People to Workforce Intermediaries and Sector Strategies. And he wasn't there about the physical development of cities. He was there because the main topic was about legacy cities. Legacy cities are subject to a certain economic definition, but the simplest way to describe a legacy city is just to name them: Cleveland, Youngstown, Pittsburgh, Detroit, Toledo, Gary. Those are cities that have struggled with an educational system and typically fairly high unemployment rates. So his point for being there was to stress to the group of scholars that were speaking the importance of our country doing a better job of matching education and employment. And in our region, even in some of our better suburban school districts, they measure their success by how many students they get into college. That's the measurement. They don't measure how many students dropped out after the first year, and they're looking for, what do I do with myself? What do I do with my life? And so many of the schools have gotten rid of shop classes. They've gotten rid of programs for tool and die work, machining, things that maybe don't sound particularly sexy, but if they get the right skills, they could get a job at Swagelok making really good money, or a job at Eaton, or a job at Lincoln Electric, or a job at Timken. But we've fallen away from it. So some of those employers, I think you'll hear today, are struggling with filling some of those jobs because of the skill sets that should be there but really aren't there. So I just give you a little preamble to the presentation and discussion we're about to have. So it's my pleasure to first introduce Robert Peterson. He is the President and Chief Executive Officer of Corporate College Division of Cuyahoga Community College. He oversees Corporate College's operations, strategic initiatives to support Northeast Ohio business and industry in the area of professional training and development. He's got a terrific background. Prior to Corporate College, he also held an executive leadership position in Park Corporation as the Vice President and General Counsel and President of the IX Center, the 8th largest convention center in the United States, and served in management positions at both Ernst & Young and Squire Sanders. And the Ag Center is a great facility to tour. I think it is an unbelievable facility. Mr. Peterson holds a bachelor's degree in business administration from John Carroll University, Cha-ching, where I went. He holds a JD from Cleveland Marshall College of Law, Cha-ching, where I went. He's also an esteemed graduate of St. Jerome's Grade School in Collinwood, Cha-ching, where I went as well. I believe graduated my sister Mary Ann, so this is really kind of neat. He's an active participant in 2015 and a class member of Leadership Cleveland, and is a member of the 50 Club. I also have the honor of introducing Hannah Dellis from Swagelok. She's currently the Workforce Development Manager for Swagelok. She's worked there for 4 years in various HR roles, primarily as a business partner to operations and functional teams, and have spent the last year as the role of the Hourly Workforce Development Manager. As the Hourly Workforce Development Manager, she oversees all of the training development efforts for the hourly workforce team of the on-the-job training coordinators. She's responsible for supporting hourly pipeline through various internship programs and partnering with businesses to identify skill gaps and facilitating internal training for our hourly workforce. She has a master's in social administration from Case Western Reserve and a bachelor's of arts in sociology from Ohio State. And prior to working at Swagelok, she worked as a mental health therapist for several nonprofit organizations. And you'll be pleased to hear from her, because Swagelok really is a cutting-edge company in Cleveland. I think it's one of Cleveland's sometimes great secrets, but at the same time, those of you who are familiar with the product, it's the best in the world. Lastly, Michael White, and not former Mayor Michael White, but Michael White, who has 35 years of experience in the field of CAD, CAM, and CNC. He worked for 12 years at the Warner & Swayze Company, an international machine tool builder, where he held the position of CNC programmer, applications engineer, mechanical test engineer, and mechanical design engineer. Michael is currently the program manager for CAD and CAM, CNC, and manufacturing training for the Workforce Solutions Division of Cuyahoga Community College, where he coordinates, delivers, and develops new and existing curriculum to meet the ever-changing needs of the regional manufacturing community. Michael received an Associate of Science degree in Manufacturing Technology from Tri-C. He also received a Bachelor of Science in Mechanical Technology from Cleveland State University. So with that, I'd like the panel to come up and then have them each present, and I think you'll go one at a time in that order. Is that right? Okay, terrific.
Thanks, Tony. Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
As Tony indicated, I'm the president of our corporate college campuses at Cuyahoga Community College, but in addition, I'm also a vice president of our workforce development division. And there's been a lot of discussion in the national press lately about the roles of community colleges nationally in helping employers address the skills gap. And as we know, there's shortages nationally and locally in a lot of occupations like CNC machine operators, welders, nurses, IT software developers, truck drivers, and Cuyahoga Community College has a great workforce development division that, quite frankly, has been addressing those needs for quite some time. It's very robust, but we're really devoting more resources than ever to helping employers, and key employers like Swagelok, address that skills gap. And an example is we're launching actually a manufacturing center of excellence and other centers of excellence where we have core competencies, and we want to take our existing capabilities and grow them and add to them, and so that in Northeast Ohio to help address the manufacturing needs of employers. And the Swagelok program is really a great example of a collaborative partnership where we're not just throwing a program out and looking to see if anybody is interested in attending a class. To the contrary, we sit down with key employers like Swagelok and we review our current program and look and see if it meets their needs, and if it doesn't, we'll develop a new program or we'll modify an existing program. But the key is that we want to be a pipeline for employers to address their skills gap that they have, because in our mission really at Cuyahoga Community College, and one of them is the key mission purposes is economic development. We view ourselves as important to the economic development of Northeast Ohio. And if employers do not have skilled employees, one of two things are going to happen. They're either going to fail or they're going to relocate and go where the skilled workers are at. And so we are more committed than ever to helping employers develop that skilled workforce. And so I have a quick video that I'm going to play now that will give you an overview of the Swagelok Tri-C partnership. The program is called Right Skills Now. And then Hannah Dulles and Mike White, who work with that program on a day in, day out basis. They're going to get up, review in more detail some of the details of the program and some of the stats and some of the accomplishments that we've had, and then we'll all be available to answer questions. So let me get the video going, I hope.
I love this program. I think it's an awesome opportunity for a career change.
It's a whole new career for me and a great opportunity that's ahead of me.
Right Skills Now program is a collaboration between Cuyahoga Community College and Swagelok Company. In this program, we train students on CNC machine operations for permanent full-time job opportunities at Swagelok Company.
We are very happy with the partnership with Tri-C because it's just one more great avenue to find qualified people that can enter our company and do well and be very successful in a very highly technical and demanding machining environment.
This program has given me a great opportunity to advance in my life, and not only in my life and the company, and I can't say enough about it.
It's a collaboration where the student will come to Tri-C first, do 180 hours of training up front. They successfully complete that training up front, then they would go to an 8-week internship at Swagelok.
When they get to Swagelok, the very first thing that they do is they go through a machining 101 class, and then once they complete that machining class, then we put them to work with a skilled operator, and they work for 7 additional weeks with a skilled operator at Swagelok, and at the end of that time, we're usually in a position to make a full-time offer to that person.
I'm currently in my 6th week of the internship here at Swagelok. What I like about the program is it's from the ground up. They build you from the ground up. I knew nothing about machining. And now 14 weeks later, I'm running a machine.
What's so exciting about the program is I've never been a machinist, never operated a machine. I know how to read blueprints now. I know what a micrometer is, a caliper. I've learned so many awesome new things, and it is exciting.
I think the program's been a success because here's a case where we've looked at a customer's needs, what they wanted out of the college as far as an individual training, and we're able to supply people of the caliber that they required to do those jobs.
We were very involved in the creation of the curriculum with Tri-C so that when people completed the program successfully, they were ready for our training program to enter and to be successful in that program.
This job has made a difference in my life because I'm actually advancing through Swagelok. I've been going to more and more classes. I'm close to getting my level 3 in manufacturing as a machinist. So it's been an awesome opportunity to work here.
I think the best thing about the program is the connection that we have with the community. You know, Tri-C has been a part of the Cleveland community for a long time. Swagelok has been a part of the community for a long time. But working together to really get people trained up for careers in manufacturing and careers in machining is unique, and it's also very beneficial, really, both for Tri-C and for Swagelok.
The model of the college is where futures begin, and this Swagelok Right Skills Now program in Swagelok, that's exactly what it is. It's actually where futures begin. You can begin a new career at Swagelok.
The best thing about the program is just knowing at the end of the day that I'm going to have a career. I don't have to worry about if I'm going to get laid off in the winter or if there's going to be enough work for me. That I will be here if I want until the day I retire.
Okay. Now we're going to turn it over to Hannah and Mike, and they're going to go through some of the details about the program. Hannah?
Morning.
Good morning.
Thanks for having us. I'm glad to be here today to talk about this program Mike and I are very passionate about. And we spend a lot of time collaborating about the Right Skills Now program. So Mike's actually going to kick us off and talk a little bit about how we got started in the early collaboration. A colleague of mine was really involved with Mike back in 2013 to really get this program going. So Mike's going to talk a little bit about that.
Okay, well, thanks for having us. And, we started it probably October of 2013. We were kind of introduced, well, we've been working with Swagelock for a long time. We've always had a relationship with Swagelock. But for this particular program, an organization called Magnet was working with Swagelock, trying to help them fill their employment needs. And they're looking for something new, trying to get people trained in there in a relatively short time to fill openings that they've had. They've been a really successful company. Part of that success, they have a stock option plan, and employees were taking advantage of that, and where people were staying maybe 30, 40 years, it's advantageous to maybe retire as soon as they could. So they're faced with some retirements, and they were faced with some pretty significant growth, and they needed to supply a lot of jobs. So Magnet had looked around nationally, and there was a model out there called the Right Skills Now, up in Minnesota, Dunwoody School. There's another community college up there. Kind of started that kind of an idea of, let's focus on a particular job that there's a need, train people up toward that, and it's a fast track kind of training. We looked at what they had, and it was a credit-based model, which is great, but it was too long. It was like 2 14-week semesters. People come out of there, they have a real great background, but it didn't fill the need fast enough. So we sat down with key people at Swagelock and came up with a program, condensed kind of program. Shop math, safety, blueprint reading, gauging and measurement, machining fundamentals, and then we got them on as an operator level on the CNC machine. So they'll be able to mount tools, call up a program, load the part in. The machine does all the heavy lifting because it's all computer controlled now. So the machine will cut the part, and their main focus now is the inspection piece. When those parts come out, quality is everything at Swagelock. Their whole name is based on their quality. So we need to cover in depth the measurement techniques that they need. So we tried to put all that together. I put together a suggested proposal for training, and we gave that to the Swagelock representative. They went back and they distributed that to all the supervisors in the plant. They said, here's what they want to do. Does this look like what we need? And so they came back and they had some suggestions. We sat down and we recrafted a little bit here. And we've kind of got it down to where we've got 180 hours of training that's going to cover all those basic needs to get them on the floor in a position where they can assume that responsibility and start to build their career. So it's been pretty successful. The way we deliver it, the 180 hours, we can do a daytime class. We do 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Monday through Thursday for 8 weeks. If we do an evening class, we'll do Monday through Thursday, 5:30 to 9:30. We do classroom for 10 weeks. And in the evening, to kind of condense it a little bit, we have 30 hours of online training that they are responsible for outside of the classroom. So that gets them out in a relatively short period of time. Once they're out of our realm, they go to the plant. The first thing that they do at the plant is a week-long, actually 7 days. They go Thursday and Friday the first week, Monday through Friday the next week, of Machining 101. There they get the history of Swagelock. They get the quality procedures and processes. They learn the terminology on all their proprietary parts and components. And they're tested and quizzed on the specific measurement techniques that they're going to need at those jobs. If they're successful in that class, most of the people, 9 out of 10, and even more, maybe 98% are successful. You get 1 or 2 that somehow don't make it through that, but by and large, 98% make it through that point. They make it through that Machining 101. The neat thing now is they're put on a machine where there's a job opening coming up on the horizon. They see where the need's at. They pair them with an on-the-job trainer, works with them one-on-one, gets them going at first, they're 100% of the time, and then slowly kind of backs away a little bit as they assume more responsibilities. At the end of that 8-week internship, what happens is that they're successful, they're gonna make the cut, they get a job offer as a level 2 CNC operator. Decent pay, benefits from day one, a company that has not laid off a single employee in 68 years, 69 years. You know, it's a life-changing experience for a lot of our students. So that's kind of how it got started. Probably went more I should.
No, it's okay. So I think one of the neat things about the program too is the way that it's set up. We have the opportunity to bring in candidates from all different kinds of backgrounds. So we have folks who are coming in who maybe worked in industry before, and then we also have folks coming from backgrounds that are totally unrelated to manufacturing. So it's a great opportunity for somebody who might be looking for a career change. We've had several vets come through the program who are looking for opportunities after leaving service. So certainly we've seen a lot of great diversity coming out of the program, which has been really neat. One of the things that helps to make the program successful is just how we've structured the process itself. So an RSN candidate actually approaches Tri-C and they apply for the program. So they express interest. They get information about the work case assessment that Mike talked about. If they're able to successfully pass that assessment, then they go through a vetting process, if you will. So we have an opportunity to have Swagelok associates go to Tri-C and actually interview candidates. And then they go through a background check and drug screen process that we facilitate. That way we know when we have a candidate coming into the program, they've met our minimum requirements, and it's that more likely that they'll be successful to be hired once they've made it through all the components of the program. We also then have Swagelok associates go to Tri-C when they're in the Tri-C portion of the program to talk about Swagelok and get to know the students. And then the students then get to come to Swagelok when they're doing their curriculum at Tri-C to tour, meet supervisors, get used to the environment, and see what kind of environment they're going to be working in. And then I think Mike pretty much covered the rest. I think what's pretty neat about this collaboration is that it wasn't just an upfront collaboration back in 2013 to create the program, but we really collaborate on a daily basis. So how are we tightening up the program? What are we doing to tweak things to make it better, to make students more successful? Mike has been fantastic about sitting down with us and hearing feedback about different pieces of the curriculum, and we've been able to tweak certain things based on that. We've also in turn tweaked a few things in our Machining 101 program that we've learned great lessons from Tri-C about how we can better educate our associates and get them ready to hit the shop floor. So when the students come in, they give us feedback about how things went with Tri-C, and then we in turn go back and sit down and say, how can we make it better? And the nice piece is we have several subject matter experts on the team who execute our training on our end, who've been willing to go to Tri-C and get involved in different ways, even in how we're approaching the curriculum at the Tri-C level. So we've been able to make some adjustments when we found that students might have been struggling because we have a certain kind of machine or piece of equipment that they don't necessarily have at Tri-C. We were able to create a little bit of a different curriculum to help make students successful, so that when they did come into our facility, they had a better understanding of that piece of equipment going into the program. So just a few things to highlight from a participant outcome perspective, and then we'll open it up for questions. Again, students end up with 500 hours of experience. They are able to go through an internship that not only gives them technical skills, but it also gives them a great opportunity to be exposed to the workforce. So they are executing and doing the same type of work that any other temporary associate or permanent associate that we have at Swagelok would be doing. A lot is learned around our values and quality and safety, and those are things that hopefully they'll keep with them as they work with Swagelok. But if for some reason it doesn't work with Swagelok, they're able to take that on to hopefully a new job opportunity. The paid internship ends up being enough time and enough money that they can use that to pay back the amount of money that they spent on the Right Skills Now program. And we also offer a tuition reimbursement program as well for this. So after somebody's been hired on, after 6 months, they're eligible for half of their tuition reimbursed to them. And then after a full year of employment, we pay the other half. So there's an opportunity for them to get full payment back of the investment they made up front for the program. And Mike, I'll let you talk a little bit about, we have some scholarship opportunities also available.
Yeah, we, at our school, we're a big user of Haas automation equipment. All our CNCs are Haas equipment. They've got a fantastic educational arrangement with discounts in that, and they've got an organization we belong to, the Haas Technical Education Centers. And so Gene Haas has put up money as scholarships, so anyone that's approved for the program, they're automatically get a $500 scholarship off the bat. The other thing that's happened is the Lozic Foundation, which is Swayzak's charitable arm, put up capital for students to take a $1,000 interest-free loan. So what they can do is they can take that loan, they don't start paying that back until after training's done. They've got 1 year to pay that loan back at 0 interest. That money goes back into the fund for somebody else to borrow. So tuition for the program is $4,295. So walking in, they'll get $500 off. They're going to get a $1,000 loan that they can apply right off the bat. They go onto a payment plan. The nice thing, we've got the payment plan set up that it stretches from the beginning of training through the end of the internship. So halfway through the training, they're done with the college part of the training. They're now in the internship. That's a paid internship, and they'll generate gross about $3,500 in the internship, which is their money. So they've got $500, they've got $3,500, they got another $1,000. So if they juggle the money, borrow from an uncle, somebody like that, they can make it through. And then the icing on the cake is once they make it through, they get the job offer after 6 months. Swayzak's reimbursing 50%, and then at the 1 year mark, they're doing the other 50% on what they spent for tuition. So that's bringing it making affordable, making it realistic within the reach of a lot of people. But they've got, the one thing I like about it is they've got to put a little bit of money up. They've got to come up with something. And what I found in training programs, if somebody's 100% funded, sometimes they're not as committed as they are if they've got a little bit of skin in the game. So I like to see them with a little bit of money up front. No attendance issues. People are there. They want to learn. They don't want to lose their investment. So that's another good piece of the puzzle. I think we put a lot of things together, over the years, things that kind of work. We've kind of put everything into the program. The best thing is the collaboration, though, because it's ongoing, and we're tweaking it as we go every time.
Mm-hmm. And a nice piece too, Swayzak's really committed to these students that, when they come into Swayzak, on the rare occasion that they don't make it through our machining 101 program, and as Mike said, this very rarely happens because Tri-C prepares them so well. But on the rare occasion that does happen, we do still guarantee them an internship. So whereas they may not have been able to show the technical skills necessary to go to a CNC machine, we find them other opportunities and give them that time, that 8-week investment to be able to earn that money for that paid internship. And again, we've also had situations where we've had great people come through, and again, maybe they didn't end up being quite the fit we needed for CNC, but we found them permanent spots in other areas of the business too. So, we've certainly invested and committed in these students and want to see them be successful, even if it isn't in that CNC area for some reason. And we'll finish it off just quickly here with some of the program stats. So again, we started in 2014. Hopefully everybody can read this. Year to date, we have a program participation rate of 67%. So our goal is 5 classes a year with 10 students in each class. So the 67% reflects how many students we were able to get into the class, which we're very happy with those numbers. We certainly see things ebb and flow in terms of students' interest throughout the year, and there's a lot of efforts that go between Swayzak and Tri-C on how we're marketing the program and getting out in the community and talking about it. Mike does a fantastic job of doing different community engagement activities. Our group as well will attend many career fairs and try and promote the program externally as well as internally. We've had a lot of success in folks referring family, friends to get into the program who may be looking for a career change. Overall, our hire rate is at 64%. So again, we're very pleased with those rates. And then our attrition is only at 9% right now. So below our general attrition rate for the organization. So again, we've seen a lot of success in this program. Our leadership at all levels is very invested in this program. They've done a fantastic job of allowing us to proceed, even if we're slowing down and hiring in different areas. They've said, keep this up. We don't want to stop the pipeline. So they're very invested in keeping that going. So we also have great investment on the shop floor from our supervisors and saying, hey, we know these folks may not be coming with a background, as extensive as other people, but we're gonna work with them. We know they've gotten a great education at Tri-C, and they really have the foundational skill set needed to be successful. So now I think we'll open it up for questions.
So how many students have you hired into Swagelok at this point that are working with Swagelok right now?
Let me grab my cheat sheet.
Yeah.
So we've hired, since 2014, we've hired 43.
And the attrition rate you mentioned was 9%. How does that compare to your attrition rate with other employees that have come
Yeah, so
to
it's
Swagelok?
it's certainly a lot lower. We have a variety of pipelines that we use to bring students in. We have, or not students, I'm sorry, associates. We have we use temporary associates and often look for a temp to perm hire. We also bring people in directly, we hire directly. As I said, the 9% is lower than our overall attrition rate, that we currently have for the organization. So not significantly below, but it is below that. So, again, we're seeing a lot of success with the program, and the few folks, so we've lost 4 over the life cycle of the program so far. A couple of them ended up, over time having some issues with attendance and some of our policies. I'm looking at Amy because she knows all about the things that we deal with at Swagelok with some of those pieces. But and then 2 of the other ones ended up, I think one ended up deciding to join the service, so ended up having a life change, and then we had another one that found an opportunity that was a lot closer to home, so decided to make a change based on just pure geography. But for the most part, we've had students come in and be very successful and share with us that they'd like to stay invested with the company. And they do have an opportunity to come in at a higher level actually than most of our temps coming in to the program. So they are making a higher wage off the bat, and then they are actually, when they get hired on, they're making a higher wage than most folks without experience coming in. So there's a bit of an incentive there.
Sure. What's your success rate in accepting people into the program? And how many people apply and how many people do you accept?
The way we work it, the first step in getting in, there's a test called the work keys. It's the ACT work keys. It's a test that's been developed based on occupations, and there's different levels. So we aim for the silver level, which is like 4 out of 7. There's math, there's reading, there's locating information. So what's neat about this is the first step is they've got to take the initiative and go there and take the test, bring the results to me, and they've got to get that certain level, 4 or higher. That knocks a lot of people out right off the bat. People don't take the initiative to do that, then they knock themselves out of the game. They come in with that. The next step is they send me a resume, and they need a copy of your high school diploma, a copy of their high school diploma, or a GED, either one. So getting that taking the time to get the documents, do the testing, contacting me, getting that all set up. Once they've made that step, they're pretty much almost 100% go through at that point. I mean, so they kind of self-eliminate before that. At that point, Swagelok comes in, they do an interview. They want to see if they're a good fit for the company. And again, 98% pretty much make the grade at that point. After they make that cut, the next step is the background screen. Now there's where they nail a few, okay? So there's nothing much you can do about that. Swagelok's a top-notch company. They've got some pretty high standards. Somebody that's an A game at some medium-sized company might be a B or C at Swagelok. I mean, that's just the way they are. It's they're the leader of the pack in this industry. So if somebody makes it through, they've got maybe something on their background. The next step is we have other programs at the college. They're a little more open, and there's a lot of employers looking for CNC operators. So what we'll do is we can run them through a traditional 2-semester program. At the end of the 2-semester program, we have a job fair. Companies come in for a permanent hire right off the bat. If they're not confident with a permanent hire, we'll go for an internship situation. So they're not out of the game. They start just, they just need to maybe in a different company get their foot in the door. But I mean, once they get through that interview, I mean, it's pretty high. And what's kind of nice is it's self-eliminating. So the people that take the initiative, they're the ones that they're going to really do good.
Yes, several. The amount of money that the applicant has to self-fund, to what extent have you found that's a hurdle for a number of people?
That's a big hurdle for a lot of people, yeah. It comes down to, if you break them numbers down, they've got to come up with probably $700 to begin with. Then in about 6-7 weeks, they've got to come up with another $700. And at that point, then they're in the funding stream, they're getting money coming back in. That's a big hurdle to get by.
And has there been any exploration of how to address that financial need so talent wasn't self-selecting out because of that hurdle?
We've been working with Ohio Means Jobs. Ohio Means Jobs has a Department of Labor grant, and they have been funding anybody that's unemployed or even underemployed. If they're under a certain threshold on income, they can go to the Ohio Means Jobs, and they're being funded by that process.
In terms of the demographic you're seeing, to the extent you have any information, to what extent are you seeing any meaningful percentage of African-American males under 25?
African-American males under 25, I would say we're probably 25-30%.
Yeah, I would say if you remove the under 25, honestly, we've had, I think most of our students coming in are probably over the age of 25.
25, yeah.
What we see more often is, folks who are doing a career change, or again, maybe they were in the military and are coming out and they're looking for something from a long-term standpoint. A lot of our younger students, and we have actually other internship programs, are going through some of the technical schools in the local area and coming in that way. So we do have some that are under the age of 25, but I would say majority are over that threshold.
Just quickly, another couple. If I go through the program and I decide I don't want to go to Swage Rock, do I have, and if I decide I would like to pursue a college degree, do I have any credits that I can transfer towards that?
At this point, this is a non-credit program right now. So there's no mechanism right now for that, but with our new Center of Excellence in Manufacturing, we're combining the credit, the non-credit, and we're working on a pathway. Now they're gonna get certain credits for what they take toward a 2-year associate's degree. So we're working on that right now as we speak. And that's a big point too. That's something we want to do to make sure that you can address somebody's needs near time, get them in the job, but then they don't lose any of the training that they've got. We just have to go back and map through what we've covered, where it fits in the credit program, and how much credit they can get to transfer that over. But that's one area that the college is really very interested in right now, because it's all about getting to an end game. And maybe you don't get to that end game right off the bat. How can you do an incremental steps and work your way through the course of your career up to a higher degree?
Thank you.
Yeah, I also, building on those great questions, I wonder if you've thought about on-ramp programs, that is getting kids up to the skill level that the work keys would reflect. If Ohio Means Jobs is involved in that, Magnet might be involved in that. I also wonder a little bit about if you've thought about that age demographic as a problem. I think one of the things that we're facing as local manufacturers is a real problem with talent pipeline, and it's starting not when they're 25, it's starting when they're 13. So what the skills acquisition difficulties that they're experiencing, both at the post-secondary level and afterwards, originate much earlier than that. So I wonder if you've thought through that process about working through that.
Yes, I can speak to both of those. So Ohio Means Jobs, there's a big initiative going on right now to try and get more organizations invested in work keys. So right now they're looking at more and more testing locations, so getting companies and different nonprofits to be willing to be testing locations. Right now there aren't as many. I mean, they're looking at funding for that too. The work keys cost $40, $30 to $40.
But it's for us it's 36, but it depends where you go.
Right. Looking at how do we get funding for people, because sometimes, unfortunately, right off the bat, that can be a deterrent, that $40 to do the work keys, so looking at those pieces.
Now, Ohio Means Jobs is a center too, and theirs is free. So if anybody going through that pipeline, there's no cost for that. It's only through our testing center to cover our testing center costs at the college.
But to speak a little bit more about the work keys piece, part of this initiative that the Ohio Means Jobs is partnering with various different organizations, Magnet being one of them, they're trying to encourage employers to use work keys to be open to more people coming into these types of roles. So having students getting into high schools, having students take these work keys assessments and then having these scores so that manufacturers are more willing to say, hey, I can look at a score and see that there's some foundational skills. They may not have the traditional experience or the technical school education, but they've got those skills. So SwageLock's also on board with that initiative, and we do post our jobs through Ohio Means Jobs and are looking at how do we continue to work with them on those skill scores and looking at those pieces to kind of open up the pool of applicants for positions. And then to your second question, we've really upped our game in terms of how are we trying to hit some of those high schools. So Mike does a lot in the community with going and talking about the program at the high school level, and we do a lot from a SwageLock perspective of sending folks to career fairs and different job fairs throughout the community so that we can try and continue to talk about the program to get some of that demographic. So I would say, yes, we'd like to target certainly more of that 25 and under. I don't have the exact stats with me right now, but certainly not as high as we would have probably even anticipated with this program.
But it's growing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Traditionally with Tri-C, you've always seen our students' average age has been 28, 30. And what happens is people graduate high school, they don't go on to college, they get some kind of job, they start doing life exchanges, wives, kids, stuff like that, and then they realize, hey, I've got to get something going. And they come back. And that's what traditionally been how it's worked with us. We've seen some of that, but now I'm seeing a different trend now, where I'm seeing a lot of parents calling me now. My child's graduating high school, he doesn't want to go to college, he's not going to be a good fit for him, what can we do? I said, hey, I've got a program for you. It's going to be great. So I love that, because you got the parent, with a little incentive to push them through there. I've been going out to different high schools, we're reaching out to the high school counselor, but I think we really need to get, lower. We need the middle school or even lower. And a lot of it is the parental perception that manufacturing's a dirty environment. Oh, it's a rough job, you're not going to want to do it. From that video, if you saw the conditions they were in, this is high tech. This is all computer operated equipment. It's in environmentally controlled, well lit. This is high end jobs. They're not wearing lab coats, but they may as well be the way the job is. So I think we're starting to see now where parents are seeing this as a great option, because there's decent pay in manufacturing, and generally these jobs come with benefits. And you've got a career rather than just a job. So we're seeing it starting to change.
And just real quick, one of the things that SwageLock is trying to do as well is really partner with the community and collaborate a little bit differently. So we are starting to work with Magnet and some other organizations to say, how do we get parents in for tours? How do we start reaching the 7th and 8th grade students? So a little bit outside of the Right Skills Now program, but certainly any opportunity we have, we talk about the Right Skills Now program. But we are starting to think a little bit outside the box in terms of how we bring the community in to see it is a safe environment, and more importantly, the parents, so that they can see, it's clean, it's safe, it's a good place to work.
Can you talk a little bit about the compensation levels as to what someone might expect, during the internship, and then the level 2 CNC operator?
Yeah, so we have our interns come in at $11 an hour, which is pretty competitive when you look. They're coming in at a temporary associate wage, but immediately off the bat when they get hired on, so within that 8-week time frame, they're offered, if they successfully complete the program, they're offered $14.75 an hour. And that would not include if they're on and off shift, there's shift differentials and different opportunities.
Second or third is like a 10% differential, so that kicks you up to $16.22 right out of the gate. The next level up at SwageLock is level 3, and that starts at $20 an hour. So they can make level 3 within a year of completing the program.
And how many shop floor workers does SwageLock have in Northeast Ohio?
We have, that's a good question I should come prepared with. We have, right now with our temporary and our permanent associates, we have over 2,000, well over 2,000.
What's the experience been from a gender perspective, both participation and success?
It's been predominantly male, but we have had
I'd say
several female candidates.
at least 10% female, which is kind of surprising. It's a male-dominated industry, but doesn't need to be. In fact, a lot of times the job skill set now is not heavy lifting. Now it's more inspection and quality and detail work. And from my experience with training, the ladies are a lot better at that, so what are the guys?
So just a question about scalability of the program. It sounds fantastic. It's worked for Swagelock Corporate College is benefiting and obviously providing a very important role for our community. How can you just talk very quickly, each party, how you're thinking about scalability? So for the corporate college, or is this a program you're trying to transfer and replicate at other places? And at Swagelock, have you talked to your counterparts at other manufacturers, Parker, Eaton, those types of things? I don't know what manufacturing facilities they have locally, but.
I'll let you start.
Okay. Right now, I can take 10, I kind of cap it at 10 students per class. And we're hitting 5 to 7, which I can't fathom, because here's a program with paid internship with almost a job guarantee at the end. And it's just kind of getting the word out and reaching. It's starting to build, momentum's going, and what's happening is folks that are going through the program, talking to their cousin, or talking to the brother, or talking to the nephew, the neighbor, and it's starting to get a groundswell like that. So we're seeing that going. Once I get kind of toward 10 per class with Swagelock, I've got probably 4 or 5 other companies that want to get in on it. And I feel kind of bad because I've been kind of pushing them off, because I said I'm not fulfilling the class size I've got, and we want to run a different cohort for that, because we're kind of really specialized for them. And if I put a couple companies together, it would be a little more generic, not a whole lot, but a little bit. So once we reach that point, we're hoping for July to have another run with 4 or 5 other companies that have expressed interest. So I'm going to expand that here. But Magnet is involved, and they've taken the model that they helped us and worked with us to develop. They're over at Lorraine Community. They've run one Right Skills now last summer. They're working on doing another one. They're with Stark State. They're just kicking off either last week or this week, one of their first ones. So the idea and the beauty of having Magnet involved in it is now they circulate among all the schools, and so they're trying to take that model and spread that through all Northeast Ohio. They're really doing a great job with that.
Yeah, and I would just say from our standpoint, I mean, we certainly want to see the success of this program grow, and would love to see it get into other organizations because of the benefit that it has for manufacturing in Northeast Ohio. So, we spend a lot of time.
But after we get all your
we spend a lot of time talking about the program, sharing the successes of it. I would say a lot of the partnership we've had, or the collaboration that we've had with other companies, has been talking about a lot of the success we've had in some of our high school and tech school programs, the adult programs. So we do a lot of best practice sharing and sharing resources in terms of other organizations getting connected with those technical schools like Auburn, Polaris, CVCC, and Brecksville, and kind of sharing the model that we've found to be successful, so that some of those organizations can tap into those resources as well. But right now, to be quite transparent, we're able to fill the need with the amount of students that Mike can give us. So we're certainly excited about continuing to be able to fill positions with the Right Skills Now students, and we're very happy to be hopefully helpful in expanding it once we can get the program expanded from a standpoint at Tri-C.
It's a good company. It's a great company. We have advisory committee meetings. They're there with their competitors. They don't care. It's an open sharing environment for that company.
So we got time for one more question, and because he's on the ACG board, I have to get him.
Like, so how do smaller manufacturers that aren't obviously the breadth and the size of what Swagelock that have a need to fill some of these? And again, you said some people don't make it in, they can enroll in the 2 semester. How do some smaller manufacturers help support you and support those students when they're in that 2 semester program?
The best thing is to come to our job fair our standard CNC machining composites program is a 2 semester program, and we do like a graduation every semester. So in April, in probably August, and then late November, early December, we'll run a job fair. And so I have an invitation list that I just invite whoever wants to come. We have a big open room, tables around the outside. The graduating students from that program completed the 2nd semester. Any students that may have been in any one of our programs before, somebody that may not have got picked up at Swagelock or didn't want to investigate other opportunities, they're welcome to come. So the students will come in like a scramble system. introduce themselves, they talk to as many companies as can. So a company attends that job fair and tries to bring somebody in. That's kind of what we're
How many
looking for.
students are graduating per semester?
On the PMT program, with the precision machining, probably about 18 students every semester. And then maybe 2 or 3 others that come in from past and all that. So 15 to 20, like that. And we typically have 5 to 8 companies that would show up, and there's some companies there all the time, but it does change quite a bit.
Yeah, and just to quickly, and for some of those smaller organizations like Magnet and WireNet have done a fantastic job of collaborating with those organizations to help get internship programs and different types of hourly workforce programs, in the doors in those companies. And, they certainly reach out to us to work with those groups and other, companies that have had success on a bigger scale to say, how can you make this scalable for some of the smaller organizations. So they do a fantastic job.
Thank you.
Great, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I want to thank Hannah, Mike, and Bob for carrying on what I think was a terrific discussion this morning, and very exciting to hear about actually putting into action what so many of us have talked about for years. Why doesn't the corporate community here get with the educational institutions and start building the local economic base? This is, I think, a terrific example of it. And congratulate you guys for pushing this, and I wish you the best of success going forward. I want to thank Mansur Gavin for being our sponsor this morning. Greatly appreciated. We have another breakfast April 14th when we're going to hear Kate Displays. Should be a really, again, scintillating conversation, and I hope to see all of you there. Before we leave, as is our tradition, I want to give each of you a gift just to express our thanks for you taking out.